The name of rebirth, sakarya. The world should know that the government of the Grand National Assembly of the Turkish people shall not tolerate to be treated as servants. Like all civilized nations, the government definitely insists on the request for the recognition of its entity, freedom, and future. The east of Sakarya was clean with blood. They who never thought of coming back. They, 10,000s, hundreds of thousands, are the soldiers who died for these lands. Don't ever think they are buried in vague graves. They are the stars of the moon to appear both at night and noon in the independent horizons of our homeland. World War I had come to an end, and the Ottoman Empire had heavily paid for the war she entered against her will. The agreements concluded after the war meant that a nation which survived freely and independently throughout its history went under the sovereignty of other nations in its own motherland. In those hard times, the Turkish nation tried to find a way to their independence in their essence under the leadership of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. The Turkish Grand National Assembly opened on April the 23rd, 1920, and the national resistance for full independence started. After having been granted the large portion of the Italian share upon their request by the English, the Greek fleet, which was reinforced by the English, landed at Izmir on May the 15th, 1919, and started to move inland to Anatolia, in order to force the Anatolian government to accept their conditions more easily. However, they were first hit by the First and Second İnönü battles and realized the existence of the Turkish nation. That is why they started to move towards Ankara, believing that they wouldn't be able to achieve their goals without capturing Ankara, which is the symbol of the Turkish independence war. It was June the 11th, 1921, when Constantine, king of Greece, pointed the target by saying, "To Ankara, to Ankara." He would repeat the Grand Asia campaign of Alexander the Great with Asia Minor campaign for Megala Idea, disentangle the Gordian knot, destroy the Turkish army, seize Ankara, and then Istanbul, and make the great Greek dream come true. For this reason, they founded an association. On the identification cards they prepared for the members, they put the Athens Acropolis to the upper left corner, Hagia Sophia to the upper right corner, and the map of Grand Byzantium state they were planning to establish to the middle. After the cities of Afyon, Kütahya, and Eskişehir fell, Mustafa Kemal Pasha decided to withdraw the army to the east of the Sakarya River and wait for the Greek army both to gain time and to make the enemy leave the main supply bases so that the Turkish army could withdraw by echelon. The Sakarya River, which secured the Gordian city lying next to it for thousands of years under the name Zangarios, hadn't accomplished its task for these lands. This time, it would serve as the rampart for the army of the Turkish Grand National Assembly. If Passes said, Ismail, son of Mustafa, if the Greeks passed Sakarya, pity for Ankara and Kayseri, then after the Greek army approached Ankara on June the 20th, 1921, the proposal that the center of the government shall be moved to Kayseri was put on the agenda in the closed session of the Assembly. Then the words by Diab Aga, Dersim representative who moves to the platform just to take an oath, "Gentlemen, have we come here to escape or to fight and die?" clearly summarized the situation of the country. Moving the center to Kayseri will be put on the agenda from time to time, and Chief of the General Staff, Fevzi Çakmak, would state that the Greek army had also troubles and defense be maintained by saying, "The sun is not rising for the enemy while we are under rain." None of the units were captured during withdrawal towards the east of the Sakarya River, but the army weakening because of escapees had to be reinforced immediately, and all the needs had to be met during the battle. On the other hand, there was neither time nor money for this. Sakarya is the line of destiny of my descents, the place where history is rewritten, the place where many lives fought against even the angel of death not to obey, the place where faith buffets chance to call the country homeland again. When the Turkish Grand National Assembly suggested to bestow Mustafa Kemal Atatürk the rank of Marshal, he accepted by saying, "In order to show the nation once more that I have been throughout my life the most faithful advocate of the idea of national sovereignty, I request at the same time that these full powers be limited to the short period of 3 months." Article 2 of the Law of the Commander-in-Chief, passed on August the 5th, 1921, gave the Commander-in-Chief the authority to exercise full powers in order to develop the forces of the army materially and psychologically to the fullest extent, so as to secure and consolidate the leadership and administration of these forces in the name of the Assembly. First, the people and merchants were asked to deliver the 40% of any kinds of their goods to the army in return for receipts to be paid afterwards under the national taxes orders. In addition, every house in the country was required to prepare an equipment consisting of a parcel of linen, a pair of socks, a pair of shoes. The people would give all the weapons and magazines they had. They would transport the material of the army with their vehicles to distances not more than 100 kilometers free of charge. Necessary ones among the goods included in the inventory of the treasury from the ones having left country would be commandeered. The tradesmen and craftsmen would manufacture the tools and devices in their shops required by the army. They're going to be paid enough to live on. 20% of the animals people had used for low transportation would be commandeered and would be paid afterwards. The veterans were conscripted. The young were running to the front, and the people were giving their asses for the army. Finally, a hope had sprouted once again. The headquarters for the Sakarya battle was a farmhouse in Alagöz village. The tents erected on both sides of the Alagöz stream were the buildings for the personnel and guards in the headquarters. The switchboards, continuously operating telephones in the tents, motor vehicles and horse-cart wagons in Alagöz village with only a few farmhouses were prepared to change the destiny of the Turks in the Sakarya Valley. On August the 16th, 1921, during his address to the English House of Commons, Prime Minister Lloyd George said, "Now that the English armies are not going to be sent into the mountainous districts of Anatolia to suppress the Turkish right, England has only one choice, to make the Turkish and Greek armies fight with each other to the last." However, after the War of Independence, he would say, "This is my crush. The centuries rarely produce a genius.